Greetings and welcome to What's New in iOS 14, a video tutorial from themacu.com. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to use the new features, apps, and other changes available in iOS 14. Through most of the lessons, we'll be focusing on how these features work with an iPhone. In the last few lessons, we're going to look at changes that are only available for iPad. For more general lessons on how to use your iPhone or iPad, look for the iOS 14 Core Concepts tutorial to be available for All Access subscribers later in the fall of 2020. With that, let's get started with a look at widgets on the home screen in iOS 14. iOS 14 features what is probably the biggest change to the iPhone interface ever, and that's the ability to move widgets onto your home screens. Currently on this iPhone, I have a standard home screen that has the same basic look that it's had for over a decade. I have two home screens with app icons that I can swipe back and forth between. Swipe left to right on the main home screen and we're presented with our widgets. I have a few of the new widgets here. At the top I have the calendar and battery widgets. Both of these are in the small size. Below is the Stocks widget, which is in the medium size, and then the News widget, which is in the large size. Each widget size is equal to a certain portion of the home screen grid. Small widgets take up the same area as 4 app icons. Medium widgets are the same as 8 app icons, and the large widgets are equal to 16 app icons. So now let's edit the home screen. We can do this with a prolonged tap and hold, or tap and hold for a second and then hit the Edit Home Screen button. Remember that we can do this from any home screen or from the widget screen. So now let's drag the small calendar widget over to my main home screen. Notice that I can put this anywhere on this screen, and it'll always displace 4 app icons. I'm going to drop it in the upper left. The displaced app icons have been bumped over to the second home screen. Now let's bring over the medium-sized Stocks widget. This can be placed in the top, middle, or bottom third of the home screen. I'm going to leave it in the middle. Now let's bring over the large News widget. That displaces the medium-sized Stock widget over to the next home screen as well. So this can provide a ton of flexibility as far as how you want to set up your home screens. If you only use a few apps most of the time, having their widgets on the main home screen might be a good option. I'm going to bring up my personal iPhone now, and this is my current home screen in iOS 14. Just 5 widgets and then the dock below. On the next screen I have app icons for other apps that I often use. And on the next page are even more app icons that are organized into folders. And then on the next screen we have the new app library, which we'll cover later on. For this lesson I've reset my widgets and I'm back to the traditional home screen. Let's head back over to the widget screen and look at how we can add new widgets. To do so, we need to get into the Edit Home Screen interface, and then in the upper left of the widget screen, we have an Add button. Tap and we can scroll through some sample widgets, or select a widget to add from any of the apps that are listed here. I'll go with Notes. Here we can swipe between the small, medium, and large options. I'm going to go with the medium version for this one and tap Add Widget. It gets added to my widget screen. I can leave it here or tap and drag to bring it over to a home screen. Widgets can only be added to the widget screen first and then move to a home screen. You can't add a new widget directly to a home screen. Tap Done to exit Edit Home Screen mode, and now when I tap and hold on a widget, we can choose to edit the widget. With the Notes widget, I can choose a particular folder of notes to display in the widget. With my calendar widget, I'm able to turn off the Mirror Calendar app option and then select a specific calendar or calendars to display in the widget. Maybe for this one, I just want to show holidays and birthdays. We're able to add multiple widgets for a single app. So I can again add a calendar widget and choose the size. After adding this separate calendar widget, I can edit it again. In this widget, I'm only going to display events from my work and projects calendars. Of course, I can then move either calendar widget to my home screen. Tapping on a widget, whatever screen it's on will launch that widget's app. Unless the widget is not associated with an app, which is the case with the Batteries widget. Tapping on this widget does nothing. In the News widget, we can tap on a specific story and jump right into it. In the Notes widget, we're able to tap on a specific note to quickly bring that one up. Notice at the bottom of the widget screen, I have a widget for Yelp. This is where all your pre-iOS 14 widgets are going to be displayed. They still work, but they can't be moved to any of the home screens. As third-party apps update their widgets for iOS 14, they will then be available from the Add Widgets button in the upper left. Until then, we can still tap Customize down here to add or remove the old style widgets. Next up, we'll look at creating widget stacks. Along with the new design of widgets and the ability to move them onto our home screens, we can also now create stacks of widgets. I'm going to move the Stocks widget out to my home screen, right in the center. I have two other medium-sized widgets here for Notes and Calendar. We can only stack widgets that are the same size. To create a stack, I just need to drag one widget onto another. Notice the white border that appears when I hover the Notes widget over the Stocks widget. Drop and we now have a stack. The two dots to the right let me know that this is a stack containing two widgets. Let's add the medium-sized calendar widget to this stack as well. Tap Done, and I can now swipe through the widgets in this stack. Tap and hold and we can edit the stack. Here I can move the widget that I want to view first to the top. Turn off Smart Rotate to always retain this order. With Smart Rotate on, the iPhone can display the other widgets on top according to what time of day it is or the location you're in. Notice that I can still edit only the calendar widget from within the stack, and from the Edit Stack screen, we can also remove widgets from the stack with a swipe left on them. We're also able to add something called a Smart Stack. This is a stack that already includes several widgets that will automatically rotate for relevant information, much like the Smart Rotate option in the stacks that we built manually. I'm going to add a large size Smart Stack to my home screen. Tap Done, and I can now swipe through all the widgets in this stack manually. Tap Edit Stack, and we can reorder or remove widgets from this Smart Stack. I'm going to remove the Photos widget and move Reminders up a few slots. I like the Siri Suggestions widget. It provides buttons to the functions that you commonly use on your iPhone. Having those right here on your home screen can be really convenient. With the large Weather widget, you won't even need to open the full Weather app very often with all the details that it provides. Tap and hold here and we can edit the Weather widget within the Smart Stack to display the weather from the current location or from one of the saved locations in the Weather app. Back over on my personal iPhone, every widget that I have on the home screen is a stack except for the Maps widget here. In the upper left, we have a stack with notes and battery levels. In the upper right is calendar and reminders. On the left side, I have a stack with fitness and the podcast widget. And on the bottom, with the medium-sized widgets, I have the music app widget, which shows recently played albums and playlists, technology news, and a featured image from the Photos app. Tap on this to jump into the Photos app and view that image. Stacks really increase the flexibility and options for utilizing widgets even more. So experiment with using various widgets in different sizes, building stacks and choosing different placements and arrangements for them. Whether that's only on the widget screen or on any of your other home screens, with only widgets or maybe with a mix of widgets and standard app icons. There are a ton of different possibilities, and those possibilities will just increase as third-party apps update their widgets for iOS 14. Next up, we'll look at how to use the new app library. The app library now exists after your last home screen. Currently on this iPhone, I have 3 home screen pages that contain widgets and app icons. On this third home screen page, when I swipe left, the app library now appears. This is the only way to get to the app library. The app library contains every app that's installed on your iPhone. The apps are automatically broken down into categories. In each category box, we'll see 3 full app icons, and then if there are more than 4 apps in the category, a set of mini icons. Tap on any of the full icons to launch that app, and tap on the set of mini icons to expand that category and view all the apps within it. From here, we can then launch any of the apps or tap and hold for a bit to move or delete them. From within App Library, we can search only our apps with a tap on the search field up here or a swipe down. Every app is listed here alphabetically, and we can quickly browse with a tap and drag on the alphabet to the right. Then just tap to launch an app from here. As I enter a search term, the results appear as I type. This search is a bit different from the standard iOS search because it'll only search installed apps. The typical Spotlight search on iOS will search for the apps on your device, but it also does a general search for that term, which can turn up many different types of results. It's possible to move apps from the app library to any of the home screens or to the dock. Here I'll drag the Shortcuts app from the app library out to my home screens, and I'll finally place it on the third home screen. It's also possible to remove apps from a home screen to have them exist then only in the app library. We can do this by drag and drop. I'll remove the Pages app icon from this home screen, so it'll end up being stored only in App Library. It's also possible to tap and hold on an app and choose Remove App. This then gives us the option to remove the app from the home screen or delete it from the device. Removing it from the home screen means it will only appear in the app library. So using multi-touch, we can move several apps at once off a home screen and into the app library. If I want to eliminate this third home screen page, I can tap and hold on one of the apps to get into the Edit Home Screen mode with the jiggling icons. Then move this app just a bit to make sure it's selected. Then with another finger, tap on all the other app icons that I want to select. In this case, I want all the ones on this page. Then I can just drag these apps over to App Library, and that will remove the third home screen. So we can now potentially store all apps in the app library and have no app icons on the home screen, saving that space only for widgets or to just have a clean look at your wallpaper. In home screen settings, we can now choose to add new app downloads only to the app library and not to the home screen. So if you want to keep your home screen clear of all app icons, or just the new downloads, you'll want to select App Library Only here. We're also able to choose to activate notification badges for the app icons in App Library. So the App Library is a major new addition to iOS. It's a great way to quickly view or find any app installed on your iPhone. It also gives us the option to eliminate most or all the app icons from our home screen or home screens. Going forward, I think many iPhone users will only have app widgets displayed on their home screen and let App Library store the rest of their apps rather than littering several other home screens with app icons. Last year, with iPadOS 13, Picture-in-Picture became available on iPads. With iOS 14, it comes to iPhones as well. I had to record this the old-fashioned way due to AirPlay video issues and limits on recording copywritten videos. Let's open Safari and go to one of the free lessons on the macu.com. This video is hosted on YouTube. When I tap play, it fills the display with a black background, whether in portrait or landscape orientation. At the top or bottom of the object. Here in the upper left is the Picture-in-Picture button. Tap this and the video is moved to the upper right corner of the display. We can pinch to make the video smaller or spread two fingers to enlarge it. Titles and captions can be added to most any object. At full size in portrait mode, we can only move the video to the top or bottom of the display. With the video reduced in size again, it can be moved to any of the four corners in portrait or landscape orientation. It's possible to have both a title and while in Picture-in-Picture, I can browse to a different web page, exit Safari, and even enter another app. All the video continues to play. It is also available in the While in Picture-in-Picture, we can pause or play the video, as well as jump forward or back 15 seconds. Tap in the upper right corner of the video to exit Picture-in-Picture and return the video to full screen. Tap the X in the upper left to exit the video and remain wherever you are in the interface. We can also jump into Picture-in-Picture with a swipe up while the video is playing, such as this image of a title and caption section under the Style tab. Check the title box and a title appears above the object. We can place titles at the top or bottom. While in picture, we can move the video off the screen, leaving just a small tab. The video continues to play in the background. If I make the title bold and italic, I can just click the Update button, and the style for object titles will be... Picture-in-picture will work with most any video in Safari. But third-party apps, like the YouTube app, will need to be updated before picture-in-picture will work with them. As of now, there's no way to invoke picture-in-picture from the YouTube app.
I'll take it. And I know a lot of you've been asking for...
But it does work from the Apple TV app, with the same picture-in-picture button and all the other functions.
Hey.
Thanks.
So once iOS 14 is introduced, and in the weeks and months beyond, most apps that display videos will be updated to work with picture-in-picture.
My name is Bess, since you didn't ask.
Along with the new design of widgets and the ability to move them onto our home screens, we can also now create stacks of widgets. I'm going to move the Stocks widget out to my home screen, right in the center. I have two other medium-sized widgets here for Notes and Calendar. We can only stack widgets that are the same size. To create a stack, I just need to drag one widget onto another. Notice the white border that appears when I hover the Notes widget over the Stocks widget. Drop, and we now have a stack. The two dots to the right let me know that this is a stack containing two widgets. Let's add the medium-sized calendar widget to this stack as well. Tap Done, and I can now swipe through the widgets in this stack. Tap and hold, and we can edit the stack. Here I can move the widget that I want to view first to the top. Turn off Smart Rotate to always retain this order. With Smart Rotate on, the iPhone can display the other widgets on top according to what time of day it is or the location you're in. Notice that I can still edit only the calendar widget from within the stack, and from the Edit Stack screen, we can also remove widgets from the stack with a swipe left on them. We're also able to add something called a Smart Stack. This is a stack that already includes several widgets that will automatically rotate for relevant information, much like the Smart Rotate option in the stacks that we built manually. I'm going to add a large size Smart Stack to my home screen. Tap Done, and I can now swipe through all the widgets in this stack manually. Tap Edit Stack, and we can reorder or remove widgets from this Smart Stack. I'm going to remove the Photos widget and move Reminders up a few slots. I like the Siri Suggestions widget. It provides buttons to the functions that you commonly use on your iPhone. Having those right here on your home screen can be really convenient. With the large Weather widget, you won't even need to open the full Weather app very often with all the details that it provides. Tap and hold here, and we can edit the Weather widget within the Smart Stack to display the weather from the current location or from one of the saved locations in the Weather app. Back over on my personal iPhone, every widget that I have on the home screen is a stack, except for the Maps widget here. In the upper left, we have a stack with notes and battery levels. In the upper right is calendar and reminders. On the left side, I have a stack with fitness and the podcast widget. And on the bottom, with the medium-sized widgets, I have the music app widget, which shows recently played albums and playlists, technology news, and a featured image from the Photos app. Tap on this to jump into the Photos app and view that image. Stacks really increase the flexibility and options for utilizing widgets even more. So experiment with using various widgets in different sizes, building stacks and choosing different placements and arrangements for them. Whether that's only on the widget screen or on any of your other home screens, with only widgets or maybe with a mix of widgets and standard app icons. There are a ton of different possibilities, and those possibilities will just increase as third-party apps update their widgets for iOS 14. Next up, we'll look at how to use the new app library. The Maps app has a few significant new features in iOS 14, but they'll be somewhat limited, especially early on. First, we have cycling directions, which has been added in with driving, walking, public transport, and ride-hailing services. But cycling directions at the release of iOS 14 will only be available for San Francisco, LA, New York, Shanghai, and Beijing. Of course, as time goes on, maps will be updated, and cycling directions will be eventually available in most cities. So let's head to San Francisco and get some cycling directions. I'll enter Sign Hill Park and the Dutch Windmill in Golden Gate Park as my route. Then switch over to cycling directions. That gives me two route options. Both will take a little over an hour. Notice that each route lets me know the elevation change that I'll need to deal with and what sorts of roads, bike lanes, or trails that I'll be on. Notice we can also try to avoid both hills and busy roads. Tap on the Go button for a route and we can then view its full details. This displays what each segment of the route will include. Next, we have routing for electric vehicles, which will be able to automatically add charging stops on your route when planning a trip. It will account for the time spent charging in the ETA, and the Maps app will be able to keep track of your vehicle's current charge and the charger type to make sure you're going to the correct charging stations. This feature is going to require your iPhone to be synced with an electric vehicle to become active. So we won't just be able to enter a location and get an EV route to it, which is somewhat disappointing. For prospective EV owners, it would be interesting to be able to see what routes would be possible in certain EVs. Maybe that's something that will be added later on. The third new feature is guides. Guides are the new name for collections, which were just added last year. So if you had saved collections, they are now listed under My Guides. We can still add our own guides just like we could with collections. Just use the Save To button when you have a landmark selected or when you mark a custom location on the map. What's new with guides are curated custom guides that are created for certain locations by well-known travel sources. So if I do a search in Maps for San Francisco and then swipe up on the info panel, some curated guides are available. We have guides for the best parks, coffee takeout, and city trails. The sources for these are Lonely Planet, The Infatuation, and alltrails.com. Let's check out the Trails Guide. So each trail within the guide has a photo for it, a basic description, and then a link to the full description on alltrails.com. We're able to save an entire guide, or we can save a location within a curated guide into one of our own guides. So I'm going to create a new guide here called San Francisco Weekend and save the Crosstown Trail in there. Then from the coffee takeout guide, I'll also save Farley's into my own San Francisco Weekend guide. So when you're planning a trip, it's going to be possible to save the full curated guides or take what you want from the curated guides and add them into your own. With iOS 14 comes an all-new app called Translate. With this, we're able to translate either written text or spoken phrases back and forth between multiple languages. This will be a powerful tool to have on your iPhone if you're traveling in a foreign country. So here at the top, we have the languages we'll be translating between. I'll change to US English and German. Notice below that we can download languages. So if I'm visiting Germany, I'll probably want to download the language, so translation will work even if my phone is offline. Let's start by entering a text phrase. Just type it in and tap Go. It's presented in text, and we can tap the play button to listen to the phrase spoken in German.
Wo ist der Flughafen?
Tap the star button here to add this phrase translation as a favorite, which will then save it in our favorites collection. We can also just speak the phrase we need to translate. This time I'll tap the microphone button and say the same phrase. Where is the airport?
Wo ist der Flughafen?
It's translated and read back right away. With this button, we can focus on specific words to get their meaning. Now let's rotate the iPhone to landscape orientation. Apple is referring to this as conversation mode. So if you're communicating with someone in a different language, you can just tap the mic button to speak, and the iPhone's going to translate on the fly. I'm going to try a little German here, so bear with me. Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Entschuldigung, darf ich Sie etwas fragen?
So the iPhone recognizes that this first person is speaking English, and it translates it into German. So now I'll reply in German, although not exactly to what was first said. Was kostet das?
What does that cost?
The iPhone recognizes German as being spoken and translates it to English. Tap this full screen button to make the phrase easier to see. From the Favorites tab, we can view the recent translations. Swipe left on each of these to either remove it or save it as a favorite. The new Translate app will automatically install on your iPhone when you upgrade to iOS 14. Safari can now translate a website with a single tap. Here on both the iPhone and iPad, I have Patagonia tourism websites up that are both in Spanish. On the iPhone, when I reload this page, notice the icon on the left side of the address bar. For a second, it changes to this translate icon. This lets me know that translation is available for this site. Tap here and we can translate this to English. When you're doing this for the first time, you'll need to enable translation, which is done through Apple's servers. The translations occur quickly and on each page I go to on the site. There's no need to request it to be translated again each time I click to a new page. We can deactivate translation by tapping View Original here. The translation function will translate to the language that you have selected in the Language and Regions section of General Settings. As of now, Safari can translate to English, Spanish, Chinese, French, German, Russian, and Portuguese. Safari also now provides a privacy report that lets us see cross-website trackers that were blocked by Safari. Almost every website has some sort of tracker to know how many visitors the site is getting and from where. It could also be an ad or shopping tracker. Safari prevents these trackers from following you from site to site. If a website has a lot of trackers that turn up on this report, it doesn't mean that something nefarious is going on. Here on fantasticosir.com, there are multiple trackers for Google Analytics and ad services, along with Facebook and others. It is nice to know that Safari does its best to keep these trackers from following you everywhere you go on the web. In Safari settings, it's possible to deactivate cross-site tracking, although I'm not really sure why you would. The most important thing to make sure is turned on here is the fraudulent website warning. We have a couple of great features that have been added to the Photos app in iOS 14. First, we can now quickly apply a filter to the All Photos view. Just tap on the ellipsis button to open the Actions panel, and then tap Filter. Here we can choose to view only favorited items, only edited items, only photos, or only videos. We can also select more than one of these to filter further. So let's view only edited photos. Tap Done, and at the bottom here, we've gone from about 450 photos and videos in this library to only 48 photos that have also been edited. Notice we also have a blue filter icon across the top, letting us know that this is a filtered view of the library. To adjust or remove the filter, we can tap here, or tap on the Filtered By terms down here. Then select All Items to return to the normal view. This will work exactly the same on an iPad. Just to remember, we can only apply these filters to the All Photos view. One of my favorite new additions to iOS 14 and macOS Big Sur is the ability to add captions to our photos. To add a caption to a photo or video that's already in your Photos library, while viewing it, swipe up and the caption field is the first item available. Enter the caption and tap Done to save it. Captions will sync if you're using iCloud Photos and pretty much instantly be available on your other devices, where they could then be edited or removed. We can also quickly add captions to photos as we take them. So I'm going to shoot a quick photo here in the Camera app. After shooting it, tap down here to open the camera roll and swipe up to add the caption. This can be a great way to add information that you might not want to forget to images and videos as you take them, or after the fact when reviewing them in the Photos app. There is now a more compact interface that is presented when we have an incoming call or when we use Siri. Prior to iOS 14, when a call would come into an iPhone, the entire display would be utilized to show that incoming call. Now in iOS 14, we just get a drop-down notification that provides buttons to either decline or answer the call.
Lauren Swanson FaceTime audio.
Tap anywhere else on this notification, and it will expand to full screen, which also provides the Remind Me and Reply with Text Message options. This will be really nice when a call comes in when you're in the middle of doing something on your phone, such as taking a photo.
Lauren Swanson FaceTime audio.
Just a quick tap of the decline button and you're back to it. We also have a compact interface when invoking Siri. So either when we tap and hold on the side button or use Hey Siri, Siri now appears in a circle at the bottom of the display rather than taking up the entire interface. While the Siri icon is visible, I can then speak my instructions.
Text Warren.
What do you want to say?
Or tap anywhere else on the interface to cancel the Siri request. In iOS 14, we can now only allow apps to know our approximate location rather than our precise location. So I'm downloading the Home Depot app from the App Store, and while installing it, the app's going to request the location of my iPhone. Notice here in the upper left of the map, it's letting me know that the precise location for this app is currently on, as I'm shown on the map as this blue dot. Tap here to switch to Approximate Location. That shifts the map to more of a neighborhood view of the location. So the Home Depot app isn't going to know exactly where I am, but it's still going to be able to let me know where the nearest store is to me with approximate location allowed. As with most apps, I'm going to select Allow it to know my location only while using the app. Now within the Home Depot app, it still gives me the correct local store here, despite not having my precise location. The Home Depot app is actually pretty good. I can perform a search and then ask it to only show the results that are available in my local store. If that product is, the app will then display the aisle and section that it can be found in. In Privacy Settings and Location Services, we can now turn precise location off app by app. For an app like Gaia GPS, which displays my location on a detailed map, I definitely want precise location turned on. But for things like weather apps or shopping apps, or even an app like Yelp, they don't really need my precise location, so I can just switch it off here in Settings. iOS 14 will now allow us to set a default browser other than Safari and a default email app other than Mail. As of now, this only works with a single browser, Google Chrome. So I've installed Chrome here on my iPad, and it can be used normally, but it's not the default browser. If I tap on a web link in a different app, such as Messages, that link will be automatically opened in Safari. So let's switch the default browser to Chrome on this iPad. To do so, I need to go into the Settings app and down to Chrome. In here, we have a default browser option. Check Chrome here, and that's it. Safari is no longer the default browser. This will work the same way on an iPhone. Now tap on that same link in Messages and it opens in Google Chrome. So this can be a really nice option if you normally use Chrome or another browser with other devices. As other browsers like Firefox, Opera, and more are updated for iOS 14, they'll also be able to become the default browser using the same method. This is also going to apply to email apps like Gmail, Spark, and Outlook. Over the next few lessons, we're going to go over some of the new features that either work a little differently on the iPad or are exclusive to iPadOS 14. First off, we have redesigned widgets just like we do on the iPhone. But on iPad, the widgets cannot be moved onto any of the home screens. They can only appear in the widget sidebar that we see here. Currently, I can swipe left to hide my widgets, and then swipe right to bring them back. Notice that we have the same small, medium, and large widget sizes here. Tap and hold for a bit to edit the home screen. And notice that I'm not able to move these widgets out to the home screen like we can in iOS 14 on iPhone. This is a major bummer, as it seems like having a home screen of different sized widgets on an iPad would be great. While in Edit Home Screen mode, tap the Add button up here to bring in new widgets. I'm going to add the weather widget in the medium size. Remember to turn on Keep on Home Screen to always have the widgets available on your main home screen. Older iOS 13 style widgets are going to appear at the bottom, and they can be added and removed by tapping the Customize button here. As apps are updated, their widgets will be updated as well, and those widgets will then start appearing in the new Add Widget interface. There is also no app library for iPad. As I swipe over to my last home screen page, there's nothing more after that. So the redesigned widgets are nice, but are much less flexible on iPad as of now. Maybe next year in iPadOS 15, this will change. Several apps in iPadOS 14 have enhanced sidebars that are more consistent across the apps. Let's start in Files. The sidebar stretches the full height of the display and can be hidden or shown with a tap on this button. While the sidebar is hidden, swipe over from the edge to overlay it for a quick view. Swipe left on it or tap anywhere else on the display to hide it again. In Files, I usually prefer to have the sidebar displayed most of the time. Each section of the sidebar has a turn-down angle to the right of its title. Tap to hide the contents of that section. This makes it easy to tap and drag files or folders to other locations on the sidebar to move them. In the upper right, we can use this menu to view or sort the folder's contents in different ways. If you're a Mac user, this is going to be very familiar to you. The Photos app also has an updated sidebar that can be hidden or shown with a tap or overlaid with a swipe. The contents of the sidebar here in Photos for iOS now pretty much match the sidebar in Photos for Mac, which will make moving between devices that much more seamless. Tap and drag to add an image to a specific album. And like in Files, we can tap the turn-down triangles to hide sections. Finally, let's jump into the Music app. The sidebar here is permanent. There's no button to hide it. If you're using the iPad in portrait orientation though, the sidebar is going to be automatically hidden and then can be overlaid with a swipe. This is how all sidebars operate when in portrait orientation. Having the sidebar here makes it really easy to just tap and drag on a song or album to add them into a playlist. Tap the Edit button up here to choose what views you want available under the Library section of the sidebar. Learn much more about using the Files, Photos, and Music apps and an Apple Music subscription in their own full tutorials. Next up, we'll look at the biggest new feature in iPadOS 14, called Scribble. The most significant new feature in iPadOS 14 is handwriting recognition with Scribble. This will require an Apple Pencil to work. I'm going to start in the Notes app. Down in the Markup tool palette, we have a new writing utensil with an A on it. With this selected, my handwriting will automatically be converted to text. So as I write each word, it's sort of transformed into typed text on the page. We can write in large or small handwriting. Even with messy handwriting like mine, the recognition does a pretty good job. If you make a mistake, just scratch it out to delete. Circle a word or a chunk of text to select it. Down in the tool palette, we're able to quickly bring up the QuickType keyboard to make edits or type in text. We also have this return button here that will let us quickly skip down line by line. Tap on the text format button to change to a different size or style. Now let's switch to the standard thin black marker here in the tool palette. When writing with this tool, it's not going to automatically convert it to text, but the text in the handwriting is still recognized. So this phrase can be selected. I'm going to use my finger to do that selection. Once selected, tap again, and we can copy this as the handwritten note, or we can now copy the text. I can now paste this text into any app. If I handwrite certain pieces of information, such as a phone number, email, or home address, iOS will recognize that, and it's going to be underlined in yellow. Tap on an item that gets this yellow underline, and I can now act on that specific item in certain ways, such as making a call or adding this number to a contact. We also have shape recognition. If I draw an oval, and as I complete it, pause at the end with the pencil tip still on the surface of the iPad, the shape I drew will be turned into a smooth, more perfect version of that oval. This will work with shapes like stars, arrows, and boxes. Scribble handwriting recognition isn't limited to the Notes app. It will work in just about any text field when using your iPad. So I can jump into Mail and handwrite a new email. Or I can enter a web search or web address in Safari with my Apple Pencil. So if you're already using an Apple Pencil with your iPad, this will make the experience that much better. If you have an iPad but you don't yet have an Apple Pencil, the Scribble feature could make you think about trying it out, especially if you enjoy writing by hand.